Here we go again. Dressing room leaks. The Manchester United manager has to be sacked. That's going to solve the problems. Spoiler alert, it's not. I want to explain to you exactly why sacking Erik Ten Hag is not the solution for Manchester United at any point this season. If we are really going to rebuild our football club genuinely, he cannot be sacked. We know this path. We've walked this path before. And if you haven't learned that as a United fan at this point, I feel sorry for you. United are awful right now. Absolutely abysmal. 2 3-0 defeats in a row. First time since the 60s. We've lost, 5 out of our last games at Old Trafford. We've lost, half of the games this season. We've lost 4 out of our last 7. All the records are stacking up against the manager, Erik Ten Hag, who was, I think, brilliant last season up until a certain point, up until the League Cup final. It's been like 2 versions of United. But there's a lot of you that now think, you know what? The grass is greener on the other side. Yeah, if we just sack Erik Ten Hag, bring in a new manager, that'll solve the problems. It will not. And there has been enough definitive evidence of that at Manchester United now to prove that is the case. Because as United fans, we know we've walked this path like 3, 4, 5 times before. Different managers. From Van Gaal and Moyes, from Moyes to Van Gaal to Mourinho to Solskjaer to Rangnick and now Ten Hag. We've walked this path. The positive uptake of bringing in a new manager. The little honeymoon period they go through. Now, sometimes they bring a little bit of success. Sometimes maybe a domestic cup. Hey, on one occasion, a European Cup. But what happens after that? The slide begins. The players become frustrated. The same problems exist again and again and again and again. And I could go on for years. That's what's been happening at Manchester United with our problems. And that's why sacking Ten Hag is not the solution to these problems. I know what will happen if Erik Ten Hag gets sacked. The same cycle will begin again. It's like Groundhog Day at Manchester United when it comes to managers. And you know the craziest part of all the concepts of sacking Ten Hag? If you suggest that Ten Hag should be sacked, then at the same time, by proxy, you're suggesting that John Murtough and Joel and Abraham Glazer bring in a new manager. That they be in charge of going, you know what? Yeah, Erik Ten Hag should be sacked. You know what? We should take control of bringing in that new manager. Imagine that. And you know what? Truthfully, what manager comes into Manchester United right now? What manager wants to come into Manchester United right now? Because we have had every different type of manager. We've had David Moyes, who was Fergie's recommendation. Spectacular failure. Then we went to experienced Louis van Gaal, 3rd place at the World Cup. He can come in and get this squad of players. No, he failed. He got sacked. So sod that. Let's get in bed with the devil. We got Jose Mourinho in, the manager that we were too good for a few years earlier. We went begging to him. And we know what's going to happen with Mourinho. And we prayed that it wouldn't happen, but he followed the exact pattern of Mourinho and got sacked in his 3rd season. After all that, you go, you know what we need now? We just need some good vibes. That's what we need. Bringing in Solskjaer, who actually I think was far better than people give him credit for. But ultimately, Solskjaer fell short. And at that point, we panicked. We needed to get an interim manager in that gave us the ability to give us a little bit of time to think about who we should get. Rangnick was a failure. And then Erik Ten Hag came in. What manager in their right mind, of any worth, would want to come to Manchester United and think, you know what? Despite the fact that all of these managers have failed, I think I can be the man that could change that. And that's what Erik Ten Hag thought. And I credit him for it. But he is now suffering the same fate and the same, hopefully not the same fate, but he's suffering from the same problems that every manager before him has had. Now, I really think that United should be sticking with Erik Ten Hag. It's not because I think we should just trust the process, all right? Just blindly trust the process. But it's because I truly want us to shift direction and to change away from the same repeated patterns and problems that we've had for years and years and years at this club. And without true change, they will never change. You take a look at Newcastle yesterday, right? And you see how well they did with the second 11. Eddie Howe is clearly a fantastic coach. But Dan Ashworth coming in June 2022, he is a big reason why Newcastle are where they are right now. It's not a coincidence. You look at City and the domination that they've created. You look at Liverpool and what happened. Yeah, Jurgen Klopp was a good manager, but Michael Edwards was the man who came in and took that responsibility away from him, allowed Klopp to focus on coaching, allowed Pep to focus on coaching. And that's what Ten Hag doesn't have. And for the first time in a long time, Manchester United are genuinely close to potentially getting a structural organisation that could warrant being called modern. That's what I'm begging to see. Now, Ratcliffe and the takeover of Ratcliffe, 25%, it's not what any United fan wants. But is it better than the Glazers just remaining in control? Yes. And Erik Ten Hag right now, he has to weather this storm. He has to come through this and find ways for this team to improve, because there is no pretending that we are good enough right now. We are crap. Absolutely awful. And the team and the lack of identity is completely reflective of the lack of identity that goes through every single level of our football club. Every level. It's all totally reflective of each other. And Ten Hag is a problem right now, okay? The players are a problem right now. We've got like an identity crisis. It's just going through every asset and facet of the club. And Ten Hag has got to find a way to get through that. And that is on him. What happens on the pitch is on him. But everything else off it completely affects it. But I've seen what Ten Hag can do with this United team when everybody is fit and available and everybody's working and putting in the same direction. I've seen what can happen. And I won't forget that. And Ten Hag, for me, has built up the credit among the fans that should carry him through this period. And it is a tough, tough period. But we need true vision back at this football club. We haven't had true vision at this football club since, I can't even tell you how far back ago it was. Basically, since the Glazers took over. We've been lacking that direction and that vision. And nothing will ever truly change at this football club until that changes. Now, there's going to be some United fans that just aren't patient enough, aren't ready enough to sort of wait for it and to kind of ride it out. But if you don't, then we will never, ever win the Premier League again. We will never, ever win the Champions League again. And if you can't see that at this point now, then I don't think you ever truly will. What I want to see from Erik Ten Hag now, he's said he's a fighter. Get this team fucking fighting, man. Get these players fighting. Do they want to fight? That I don't know. But he has to get them fighting for him. We have to get that sort of united against the world mentality. Shut the doors. Close out all the external pressure. Work on the inside of that dressing room that reflects on the pitch. Because Ten Hag can help himself in that regard. But anybody who's suggesting that we should sack Erik Ten Hag, that's going to be the solution to Man United's problems, you're mad. You are just mad. And I'll be honest, I reckon at least 80% plus of the noise is all going to be coming from rival fans, because they know full well what will happen if we do sack Erik Ten Hag. We will repeat the same problems. We will go back to the beginning of the 18-month, 24-month cycle, and we will be stuck there forever. And United will never get out of it. I'm bored of it. I'm sick of it. And if Ratcliffe can come in and we can actually put a structure in place, then maybe that's when the rebuild can truly start. Because sacking Erik Ten Hag is not going to fix it.